Black Muslims ruined Christmas.
All right. So in this episode, we talk about a Black Friday, Cyber Monday recap, marketing, how it's taken over our holidays, all of that stuff. Chris, what else do we talk about?
Bro, we're talking about how Black Muslims ruined Christmas. We're talking about how to take the Lord's name in vain. And we're going to give you the cheapest way ever to get Christmas gifts.
That's right. So we got a lot for you. Subscribe, like, let's do this.
Yeah.
It's Christmas time at the Amazing Marketing Show. We're talking about the holidays today. We're talking about how it has to do with marketing. I'm here with my co-host, Chris Gray. Chris, what's going on?
Dmitri, what up?
Living the dream, enjoying the holidays. How are you doing?
Life is good, bro. Holidays are around the corner, man. I'm interested to get into it today.
Well, let's get right into it. What do you think about Christmas?
It's interesting, man, right? This is a marketing show, and so I'm going to give you a little bit about my background on Christmas and how I think it's marketed today. And so, bro, around when I loved Christmas as a kid, like most kids did. It was my favorite holiday, right?
It's the
And then,
best.
yeah, it's the best. And then around, I think, 10 years old, my dad took it away. And he took it away because he started reading these things called the Final Call. They're from the Black Muslims. So he got on this Black Muslim shit, and all of a sudden holidays go away and a bunch of other things started to change. Really, I mean, I love him to death, but really I think that he might have believed in the Black Muslim stuff, but like he was just trying not to spend money on the holidays, right? Like he was trying to save money. Part of me feels that, right? But point being is that got taken away from me. And so now I think I try to compensate and take care of the 10-year-old Chris through my daughter. Where now she's getting probably too much shit because I'm trying to like sue 10-year-old Chris. But look, you can't give 10-year-old Chris enough gifts. I got to move on, not live my trauma through my daughter or whatever. But the
That's pretty
marketing
funny.
of yeah, bro. Like it just occurred to me as I'm even talking to you right now.
Yeah.
The marketing of the holiday, though, I think, like many people, it's gotten to like Black Friday, and then there's these gifts, and it becomes commercialized, and some people don't
Small
even care about.
Business Saturday, whatever's on Sunday, Cyber Monday, of course, Cyber Monday extended, keep shopping.
Yes, and that has impacted Christmas. And then also, let's go back to the Black Muslim stuff. You have this other side of people who are like, these holidays are pagan. They have pagan roots. Jesus wasn't born, this, that, and the other. And then they have that version of it, and some people don't celebrate it at all. I'm going to land this plane with this, Dmitri. I don't care about the whatever, all the cyber deals and the Black Friday stuff. I don't care about the paganism and all that. I think, for me, as cliche as it might be, I know some people who don't celebrate Christmas and they have young children. And I think that Christmas is about family. And at the end of the day, you know how it is, Dmitri. I mean, you moved back home, so you have time with your family.
That's
I'm away
right.
from my mom. I'm away from my dad. If there's no Thanksgiving, if there is no Christmas, I don't see my mom because we don't make time throughout the year. So I don't give a shit about the commercialization or the paganism. To me, it's about a set day and time to have family. And if people don't celebrate, they're going to have young kids, and not all your young kids are going to follow your ways. And those kids are going to get old. And when those kids get old and they marry, they're going to go off to their spouse's house for holidays. Your ass is going to be lonely. That's just my feeling. What about you, man? What are
Well,
your
they
thoughts
say
on that?
holidays can be the loneliest time because the expectation is the family's getting along and all together, and you're in this nice, beautiful house, and it's snowing, huge snowflakes outside, and it's like the most wonderful time of the year. But this is an interesting talk because you look at it both from a consumer and a marketer perspective, plus the family perspective, plus the religious perspective. So let's jump into all of that. In addition, I wanted to comment on how funny it was that at least, well, actually, modern Chris and 10-year-old Chris both were thinking dad was getting into this Black Muslim religious thing just to not buy the presents. Like, that's pretty good commitment. That's like, you got to give him props. If he just didn't want to give presents, he could have been like, I'm not getting presents. But he's like, giving the whole backstory and is going to meetings. Like, man, Dad's really
Yeah.
committed to not buying presents.
Changed our whole religion just to get out of
Yeah,
Christmas.
yeah, yeah. That's good. Okay, so as a marketer, holidays are important, but I've come to start to hate the holidays as a marketer because what I've noticed over the years is people wait to buy on Black Friday or Cyber Monday now. So you get less sales at the beginning of the month, and then you try to make up for it towards the end of the month. And then again, after Black Friday, it's another kind of a dead zone. So our business is actually getting more out of it? I'm not sure. Now, for the consumer side, there are doorbusters. Remember back in the day, like Best Buy, it'd be like $5 TV, and there'd be a huge line out the door on
Mm.
Thanksgiving morning because they have to wait like 24 hours or something. But then it turns out as a doorbuster, which there was only two available, and like you got to shoot somebody to get it. So I don't think the deals are even that good. You know, like even Amazon, they like raise their price. The classic old, oh, it's $199 right now. Well, let's pretend like we raised our price to $300 and we're discounting it to $200 again. It's like, well, there's no actual discount. You know, sometimes there will be a discount. So my question is like, is anyone actually getting anything out of this really? Or did this turn into let's ruin your holidays so you can try to get a deal?
I think it's a bit of both, right? There's going to be people that doing the. There's going to be companies doing the classic. Our product is really 200, but we're going to say it was 400, and so you think you got a $200 discount. And I know a buddy of ours, Scott, who was recently on the podcast not too long ago. Around this time of year, he bought a really expensive espresso machine because he had been watching it previously, and it was really discounted from
Hmm.
it was 300, 400 off. So I think it's a bit of both.
Well, anyway, I think it is good to get the gifts for your family and do, if you got little small kids, and I'm big into the whole learning proper techniques of giving toys to your kids. Apparently it's you only give them one or two, at least for my little ones, because if you give them too much, they don't even know which ones to play with. They're not even excited about it. And by the way, last year my kids were more interested in the box that the toy came in than the actual toy. And I mean, boxes are amazing, so I don't blame them.
This is totally random. Totally random. Bear with me, okay? You heard of this Elf on the Shelf thing, right?
Yeah.
I saw a meme the other day, and it goes, "You've heard of Elf on the Shelf?" That was the top of it, right? And then at the very bottom, it had a black dude standing like this, and it had Tigger on the shoulder. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So we'll let you guys figure out what that one
Sorry,
was.
bro. I don't. I was dying. Anyways, please continue.
So I also have a Christmas kind of childhood growing up. I grew up getting gifts on New Year's Day, not Christmas, but New Year's Day, and I mean, for a while I thought it was normal, but then of course, growing up in America, I'm like, yeah, everyone else gets it on Christmas. Why are we doing it New Year's Day? It's a Soviet thing. So during the Soviet Union, it was anti-religious. It was, we don't want Jesus, we don't want Christmas, so we don't even want Santa Claus. So they made this off-brand Santa called Mr. Frost or Mr. Winter, something like that. And like all the characters around Christmas were rebranded, and it had nothing to do with Jesus. And so gifts would be on New Year's Day. Now for my family, it's like, which one should we do? I loved New Year's Day gifts because you decorate everything the same way as Christmas. You wrap it with the same wrapping paper, everything. The Christmas tree, but it'd be called a New Year's tree. But my point is, you could get the biggest. So we're talking about discounts on Black Friday. There's no discount like Christmas stuff the day after Christmas, and we would be all about it. And nobody be shopping, right? Christmas shopping's over on December 26th. The malls are empty, And that's when we would do our shopping. It was kind of the greatest.
Dmitri, I owe my dad an apology. Long story short, my mom knew I was really hurt about this. When I was 10 years old, I cried to her, which I never really did. And so shortly after, she told my dad, and I owe my dad an apology. I have to at least give him props on this. And my mom is, they then, to make up for it, New Year's, New Year's Day.
Wow.
Yeah. We would then go to Toys R Us, and we had like a 200 to $300 shopping limit to then go get toys. But to your point, the stuff was like like big discounts, and
The
there's nobody
best.
shopping. Yeah, so yeah,
Dude, that's so funny. It's a we actually have another thing in common is that we would get gifts on New Year's. How funny is
yes,
that?
I didn't even think about it.
Wow. Well, okay, let's talk about it. So we'll bring it back to the marketing side here towards the end, and we're going to do a little bit of a shorter episode. But you mentioned your dad was saying it's like pagan and all this, and you know there is a religious aspect to it. We've talked about marketing religion many times, actually, even with some guests, and it's actually a really interesting topic. But I mean, what with the holidays? What is? I don't even know what question I'm trying to ask. I guess I'm going deeper into my thought than I've done before. Is like, but what's it all really about? What is all this about? I mean, we got Hanukkah, we got Christmas, we got New Year's for that matter, and whatever other holidays there are. But like, what you mentioned family, so let's dive into that a little bit.
I think that's what it is about. At the end of the day, is family. Don't sit here and tell me that it's about Christ and Christ being born, because most people who say that, they don't. We've talked about this. People who say they're Christian, I don't see it in your life. I see it on your chest. I see you wearing a necklace, but I don't see you acting like a Christian. Somebody gave me something interesting. I'll get off my soapbox here, but somebody told me something interesting earlier this week about using the Lord's name in vain. Using the Lord's name in vain isn't GD. This is you.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
told me this, right? You, Dimitri, told me this. I'm still in Dimitri's shit. The most interesting point. You go ahead and deliver it, Dimitri, please.
Oh well, real quick, and I mean, I've heard it before, but then Martha on Christine's podcast said it so well. Was that taking the Lord's name in vain doesn't mean saying the Lord's name with a curse word in one sentence, something like that. It's actually acting. It's acting or pretending, rather. It's pretending that you are a believer when you are not, or acting in the name of God when you aren't. For example, you do something, you do an action, or you say words, and you say, God is making me do this. And it's a bad thing. That's taking God's name in vain.
Yeah, and I took that to be like also you people, and you already clarified it. I took it as the everyday person out there claiming to be a Christian, and you don't see it in their lives at all. They just talk about it, talk about it. God this, God that. So back to Christmas. Don't sit here and tell me that it's about Jesus being born when the 364 days out of the year, you're just acting like, a heathen. All right. And all of a sudden you're honoring Christ being born. So I don't
Well,
think it's about that.
there's Chris. There's still Easter to go
There's
to.
still
So
Easter, right? I
363 days of it.
63. Yeah. 363 days. So to me, it is not about religion, the Christ being born, because most people, whatever, it is about family.
Yeah, but man, everything is so intertwined. There was this thought exercise is going for. I don't know how relevant this is, but I do want to share it. I was thinking about the different self-improvement techniques and books and how people, even people who are successful in self-improvement, and I'm starting to see patterns in, and then I'm hearing from these true believers, this sounds very similar. And okay, this is not. I'm not like taking this to. I'm not announcing this as my end all be all place to plant my flag or whatever. But it kind of feels like all the paths of self improvement ultimately end in God.
I agree. I agree. Now it's, what does that God look like? That's the arguments.
That is the argument. Something that I think we should explore further on another episode, and maybe we can get a guest on it. You know what? I'd be curious to talk to Martha about that. Let's see if we can get her on for that, or maybe, you know,
She's scheduled in January.
well, beautiful. We'll talk to her. Hopefully, she'd be willing to school us about that a little bit. Um, but okay, in the meantime, so we're wrapping this podcast up. We're going to a short little Christmas clip. We got Christmas stuff to get to. We know it's about family. We also, as marketers, know it's about, I don't know what, I mean, what do we call it? Is it taking advantage of the season, or is it more like, hey, let's provide a good product or service during the time when people are shopping?
I would say both, but more taking advantage of the season, especially in marketing. You know what Google and Facebook and all them do with CPCs and CPMs are stupid right now.
Yeah. Well, they're taking advantage of the marketers.
Absolutely.
So, hey, this is a PSA. Marketers are not the enemy. We're actually the ones that are also victims of these huge advertising platforms who are jacking up the cost of advertising. Like, okay, you guys can feel bad for us too.
Yeah, bro. It's hard. Like the fourth quarter is just a kick in the balls, man. Anyways.
It's like inflation, right? It's like inflation happens, and you get like, and they're like, okay, after the Black Friday Christmas season, CPCs will drop. No, CPCs will never drop again. At best, they will flatline in January.
It's just like this combination. I know we got to end, but it's like this perfect storm of, you got all this demand from buyers, right? But then also you have these corporations who have these huge marketing budgets, and it's a use it or lose it thing. So it's like, oh, we've got a bajillion dollars left. Let's just start dumping it, and it just drives the
Yeah.
cost of everything up. It's a perfect crap storm.
You know, I do want to note really quick though is that I've noticed a lot of advertisers scale back off of Black Friday.
Yeah,
Some people aren't even doing deals anymore. They're pulling ads back. Like, forget it. I'll save this money for a different part of the year. I mean, I don't want to compete with these conglomerates. I don't want to participate in Google and Facebook's CPC gouging. They're just out. And, hey, by the way, I want to enjoy my Thanksgiving and my Christmas with my family. Like, it's kind of a cool concept again.
I think if you're a small business, it's wise to do because now you're just competing. You don't have a what is it, Roomba? You don't have Roomba money. Like you know what I mean? They could afford to do that. You don't have big espresso machine company money. Like you don't have that, and so small business, I believe it's best to back out and not compete with those guys.
Yeah. So, hey, this is permission for you guys for next year. At least consider not advertising their Black Friday. I mean, and by the way, if you do, there's nothing wrong with it as long as you're making your profit or you know how the leads that you're getting are going to make a profit for you over X period of time, but at least have a plan. Don't just blow your load on Black Friday not knowing how it's going to return.
Exactly. Don't blow your load. And I think too, when you were saying that, it made me think of if you're a small business person, especially like you're an info product person. To me, I almost find it like comical when you email me with some Black Friday info product special. Like it's like what's the word I'm looking for? So it's like it's quite cheap. Like not even like their price. It's just everything about what's happening is almost cheap and um it doesn't. It's not a good look to me.
Yeah, we
That's my
know what you're
personal feeling.
doing. Everybody knows what you're doing. We're just not interested anymore. It's
Yeah,
interesting. Hey, man, maybe the culture around Black Friday is changing. Maybe we'll get our holidays back to our families again.
we will see, homie.
All right, until next time.
Peace.